Welcome, candidates and audience, to this forum for candidates running for Anoka County Board of Commissioners, Districts 4, 5, and 7. You can find out which district you live in at the Minnesota Secretary of State's website by clicking My Sample Ballot. Thanks to the candidates, the audience, and the Anoka Hennepin School District for making this event possible. I'm Sandy Connor from the Anoka Blaine Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters, sponsor of this forum. While I do live in Anoka County, I can't vote for any of these candidates. This forum will be followed by a forum for Soil and Water Supervisor Districts 2 and 3. All candidates for these races were invited to participate in the forum. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates for office. I'm sure these candidates care very much who you vote for, but the League does not. The League does hope that each of you will vote. The goal of our forums is to help citizens become informed voters. Our candidates in District 4, which includes Columbia Heights, Fridley, and Hilltop, are Sean Broom and Mandy Meisner. In lieu of opening statements, we will begin with 3 questions which were provided to the candidates in advance. This will be followed by questions from the audience. Candidates will alternate who answers first. Answers are limited to 1 minute. Please hold your applause until after closing statements. Sean Broom will have the first opportunity to answer question number 1. Describe your background and community involvement.
Good evening, and a thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight. Thank you guys for putting this on. My name is Sean Broom, and I'm running for Anoka County Commissioner in District 4, which includes Columbia Heights, Hilltop, Fridley, and a precinct in Spring Lake Park. My background is that I was raised as an Army brat. I would have loved to have grown up in Columbia Heights or Fridley, but instead I went wherever it was the Army sent my dad. And so that was some miserable places around the country and around the world. But in the end, when the chance came to pick a place to live, my wife and I decided to choose Columbia Heights, to choose Southern Anoka County because of the benefits that it provided. In addition to that, when I was 15, I was homeless for an extended period of time with my mom and little sister. And because of that, I know the values that county services provide, from housing supports to food supports to social services that make your life better. I've actually experienced that. As a community member, I've started an organization called Citizens for Safer Streets, which fights for safer streets for pedestrians, bicyclists, and all users on county roads. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Mandy Meisner.
Good evening, and thank you. Please excuse my voice. I'm a little bit under the weather this evening. So I've been in the community for 20 years. My first apartment right out of high school was in Columbia Heights. I moved down the road to Fridley, where I've been living with my family for the last 17 years. My community involvement spans a decade, but the current projects are Seka Food Shelf, where I've helped to fundraise for the last 5 years so they could buy over 1 million pounds of food. Springbrook Nature Center, I've been on their fundraising leadership committee as well as their event committee, bringing in $20,000 for Springbrook. I've served on the Mercy Hospital Foundation board for 4 years, including the grant review committee. And I'm a trained volunteer at the Women's Shelter for Alexandra House. Alexandra House is a local nonprofit dedicated to ending domestic and sexual violence here in Anoka County.
Thank you. And Mandy Meisner will have the first opportunity to respond to the second question. What are your qualifications for serving as Anoka County Commissioner, and why are you seeking this office?
So I've been the community relations manager at North Metro Mayors Association for 3 years. Through this work, I've learned about city operation, policy creation, and how to work effectively through legislation. I've built strong working relationships with city leaders, current county commissioners, law enforcement, and legislators that will allow me to start working on our unique district issues on day one. I'm here today because my community has asked me to run for office for years, and I'm saying yes now now because I know I can best represent the changing face of Anoka County. I'm running because the people want a community leader in this office and not just another politician. I know this because I won the primary with 49% of the vote, with my closest opponent with 24%. District 4 has called for a new kind of representation, and I'm honored to answer that call.
Thank you. And now, Sean Broom.
Ultimately, I think my qualifications for this seat lie in experience. The experience that my college degree afforded me to study how urban systems work and how they can be successful. My experience extends to working for policymakers and decision makers around the region on important issues that all of us face, from public safety matters to transit matters, working for members of Congress, the Minneapolis City Council, and state legislators. Finally, I think I have experiences that relate to my neighbors. I know what it's like to have to worry about making your student loans, your mortgage, your daycare bills. I know what it's like worrying about how it is you are going to make it month to month. An experience I think most of my neighbors have, and something that will allow me to be a good advocate for them, a good representative for them. I can't afford to buy this race. I don't have the wealth to dump into this race. I can only hope to earn this race and earn this position. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Sean Broom will speak first to the third question. What are your short and long-term goals for Anoka County?
In the short term, we need to make sure that we do our part to engage with the economic opportunity that exists right now. Northeast Minneapolis is absolutely on fire, and Columbia Heights and Fridley have the chance to develop and to grow based off of that energy. And we need to make sure that we harness that. We harness that by advocating for our region and our communities, telling the good story about Columbia Heights and Fridley and why it is you should live in our community, why it is you should locate your business in our community. And so ultimately, we need to do a good job of accentuating the good stuff we've got now. In the long term, we have to prepare for those days when it's not going to be as good, when the budget's going to look a lot starker, when we have to make tough decisions. And so we need to support a growing tax base to help make sure that we have the funds we need to support the services and to pay for the services that we're looking for. And we also need to make sure we build, the skeleton of a strong community here in the good times, so it'll be there in the long term.
Thank you. And now, Mandy Meisner, what are your short and long-term goals for Anoka County?
Yeah, so when I think of long-term goals, I think about the kind of legacy I want to create. And what I want to leave behind are the same things I work hard at today. Building a strong community by building strong partnerships that will allow economic development opportunities, promote jobs in the trades, and efficiently manage your tax dollars, our community resources, and our infrastructure. Short term, Minnesota has the lowest amount of mental health beds in the nation. The most recent bonding bill gave $30 million to create new crisis centers. Now, these crisis centers would deal with the much needed mental health beds, as well as wraparound services for housing, job placement, and therapy. I will absolutely focus on developing the first crisis center in Anoka County right away.
Thank you. And now we will go to the questions from the audience. And this question was submitted specifically for District 4, so I'll start with that. And the person speaking first will be Mandy Meisner. Do you support Independent School District 13 referendum?
I'm really glad that this answer came up again so I can set the record straight. Of course, I support investing in our schools. Of course, I support educators. Of course, I support all students and want them to succeed. And yes, of course, I support the Columbia Heights referendum. My history speaks for itself. I was actively involved in passing my own school district's referendum. Both of my children are enrolled in public schools, and I co-founded a parent and educator-led group that helps Fridley Middle School students. My history leaves no room to question. I support schools. Now, I appreciate Sean's answer as a dad and as a voting resident. I was answering as a county commissioner, understanding there is a division of power and jurisdiction between other elected bodies, and that I will always respect those roles, even as I advocate for the issues I believe in.
Thank you. And now Sean Broom, do you support Independent School District 13 referendum?
I do support the independent school district's referendum and have been very clear about that. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity that, we've been reminded that my opponent isn't a politician, because after her answer at the last debate, where it felt like she was playing politics with the safety of Columbia Heights kids, it was reasonable that it was brought into question. Everybody who I am looking to represent should know precisely what it is I stand for and why. I am unashamed to stand up for my values, for what I believe in, and I will every single day. For the people who support Vote No, I will not sit up here and pander to you for your votes. I will tell you what I believe, and I will stand behind that belief every single day. Vote yes for the safety and security of Columbia Heights' kids. Vote yes for a library for Columbia Heights and Fridley kids. Vote yes for arts education and performance opportunities for Columbia Heights kids. Vote yes.
May I take a moment to rebuttal him?
Well, we don't really have a rebuttal process built into this, I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right, moving to the next question, and Sean Broom will answer that question first. It's actually a two-part or two related questions. How do you handle conflict in general, and how do you anticipate getting along with other commissioners?
You have to be direct. This is a position where you can make friends, but there's a place where collaboration and friendship have to end at the door, and values and a spine are what it is you have to show up with to advocate for your constituents, to advocate for policies and values that may not be shared by everybody on the board. You can disagree without being disagreeable, and you can stand behind your values, and that's absolutely what I'm going to do. With my colleagues on the Anoka County Board, I have been a part of a legislative body before as a staff member and know what it takes to maintain good relationships with people who you may have passionate disagreements about, and I intend to continue to be good about that with the opportunity to exercise it professionally.
Thank you. And Mandy Meisner, would you like the questions repeated? Are you ready to go?
Please repeat the question.
Okay. How do you handle conflict in general, and how do you anticipate getting along with other commissioners?
Well, I think this is a very timely question. Going back to the state of conflict over the last question, again, my history of supporting schools speaks for itself, and I am not a politician, I am a community leader, and it's absolutely ridiculous to try and twist my words to imply that I don't support education throughout my entire district. As far as how do I get along with the other commissioners, because of my community service work, I've established good working relationships with most of the commissioners on the board and have worked alongside with many of them over the years. Like anything, any profession, it is about how you develop your relationships and the strength of them. So it's about listening, it's about being respectful, and it's always a two-way street to find solutions to the problems.
Thank you. And now Mandy Meisner will go first for the next question. Show us an example of when you established a goal that was personally challenging.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm actually going to be using this one right now. So running for office, as I mentioned, my community has been asking me to run for office for many years, and I've always said no. Frankly, I've been intimidated by the goal. It's definitely out of my comfort zone in every way possible, but I've finally stepped into it, stepped into this opportunity, and so, the process that I've been up to today, I'm really proud of what I've accomplished, the people who are behind me, the people that I'm meeting, the people who are asking me to represent them. That's been absolutely amazing, but by far, running for office, running for county commissioner has been the hardest personal goal that I am thrilled and leaning into to do all the way.
Thank you. And now, Sean Broom, would you like the question repeated?
Please.
Share an example of when you established a goal that was personally challenging.
I didn't graduate from college in the traditional way of going to college after 4 years. I had to drop out to go help take care of my family in response to all the stuff that had happened to us. So I had to help make sure my mom didn't get evicted and stuff like that. And I was really self-conscious about not having graduated, and it took a long time. It ended up taking 12 years for me to be able to get my college degree, and I had to work full-time for most of the time that I was going back to college and nurse along, picking up credits here and there. But over more than a decade, I had committed to myself that that was something that was meaningful to me, and it was something that I thought would help me in my professional opportunities. It's something that I thought would, show a little bit of wherewithal if I could buckle down and make this happen. And so it did. It took 12 years, but I was able to graduate from college when I had to drop out and help take care of my family as an 18-year-old. And that is something that is, was both adversity that I overcame and is something that I am proud of.
Thank you. And now, Sean Broom, you will go first for the next question. What part of county government would receive more attention if you are elected?
There's a couple different answers to that question. I would start with community engagement. You have to make sure that you do a conscious job of engaging with residents where they are. District 4 is easily the most diverse district in the region, in the county, and as such, we've got to be both more deliberate and also more direct about how it is we engage with our community members from all the different cultures and communities that we represent. The other thing would be a greater emphasis on economic development in Anoka County. That is a place that they've identified that they haven't necessarily done all of the work that they should have done in the past, or that they could have done more work ultimately. They had a report with the local Chamber of Commerce and with a local energy group talking about the things that they could do to be stronger about community development and or economic development, and that is something that would be incredibly important to me as a county commissioner.
Thank you. And now, Mandy Meisner, what one part of county government would receive more attention if you are elected?
So in the budget of Anoka County for 2017, the three main components that were allocated to were human services, public safety, and transportation, meaning the roads and the bridges. Now, county commissioners are mandated by the state to fund the budgets and disperse the services. My number one issue as Anoka County is promoting jobs and jobs in the trades. So that is absolutely one of the focuses and the areas that I will be looking at, and making sure that there is a living wage for the people who are doing the work.
Thank you. And now, Mandy Meisner, you will respond. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I not give you a chance?
No.
I think you did answer. I think you talked about economic development. Yes. I think, right?
And community engagement, yes.
And community engagement,
As long as we're all happy now. Mandy Meisner will respond first to the next question. I own a small business.
I'm sorry. Can you start over?
Yes. I own a small business. How will you represent me and my business?
Yes. So economic development, the small and the mid-size companies are the economic backbone in our communities. I've worked with multiple chambers over the years, and people think it's the Medtronics of the world, which are important, but it's really the small to mid-size businesses that are the driver here. So as far as economic development in terms of a county commissioner, it's about making sure that there are welcoming policies as well as environment that attract businesses, making sure that we are working with greater MSP and they're giving you these businesses that are looking for new locations to have their businesses located, that we are, on top of things, able to tell them what the attractions are here in Anoka County and making it attractive for new businesses to stay and put up shop here.
Thank you. And now, Sean Broom. The question is, I own a small business. How will you represent me and my business?
Small businesses are incredibly important to our local economy, and we can see that in the main streets and the shopping malls in Columbia Heights and in Fridley. You've got to have a dynamic small business environment or small businesses working in your community to be successful. As a small business representative, I'm happy, or as a representative of small business, I'm happy to both reach out to small businesses and hear about any regulation or policy or taxes that could be used to help or could be changed to help them be successful. But as I've engaged with small businesses throughout Columbia Heights and Fridley, there are a couple things that seem to keep coming up over and over again. They're concerned about the cost of housing. Although Columbia Heights and Fridley are some of the last affordable places in the Twin Cities, they are rapidly becoming unaffordable for people who are working class folks in our communities. And they're also concerned about the ability to get people to and from their jobs. We've got to do more to support small businesses, to support affordable housing so people have housing that they can afford to live in on the wages they make, and transit to better connect people to opportunities.
Thank you. And this question was submitted specifically for District 4. So, Sean Broom, you will have the first opportunity to respond. How many offices have you run for, city, state, and federal? What were the outcomes?
Sure. I ran for city council in Columbia Heights in 2016. I didn't win, unfortunately. It was a race that I both learned a whole lot from and also got the opportunity to go up against Bobby of Bobby and Steve's. You know, it's hard to go against that kind of name recognition in an election. I have run for office once before for a city council seat, and I'm running for this seat because the Anoka County Commissioner's position is not a social club. It is arguably one of the most important jobs in this state. It is one of the jobs that will impact everybody's life from start to finish at some place in your life, and I'm running for this because the opportunity it gives to make a difference in my neighbors' lives.
Thank you. Mandy Meisner?
The last time I ran for anything, I think I was a junior in high school for student council. No, this is my first run at anything. I do want to make a point, though, that women in politics is something that I'm becoming more and more passionate about every day. The statistics are that it takes, you have to ask a woman on an average 7 times before a woman will say yes to running for anything. So when I found out that statistic, actually that really surprised me. And then at the same time, it didn't, because I thought about my own self. And I thought, oh, that kind of makes sense. So no, this is the first time that I'm running, and I'm proud to be a woman in politics today.
Thank you. And now Mandy Meisner will answer first for the next question. As a county commissioner, how would you address social services issues?
Well, first, I would learn about what is being done in depth at the County Board for Social Services. Human Services is the biggest pie of the budget for the total budget is roughly about $350 million. Actually, in 2017, the budget was $338 million. But social services is absolutely close to my heart. It's where I've been putting my time and effort for quite some time with mental health. I've been an advocate for that for the last 10 years, as well as the addiction issue. So the opioid crisis specifically, unfortunately, is so prevalent in all of Anoka County and all throughout our communities. So those are probably the 2 main issues that I have personal attraction to, is mental health and addiction issues. And I would work very closely and very hard to be on the subcommittees that are doing that work for Anoka County.
Thank you. And now Sean Broom.
Can you repeat the question, ma'am?
Yes. As county commissioner, how would you address social service issues?
So as Mandy had pointed out, human services is the largest part of the county budget, but in many ways that budget is dictated by the state. Money is delivered by the state legislature to deliver or to dole out those services. A big part of it is, as you look at filling the county budget holes, you have to go talk to the state legislature. You have to go advocate for resources and services that Anoka County needs. And so the first thing is you got to go get more money for health and human services, and we've got to go work with legislators legislators like Senator Carolyn Lane or Representative Mary Kunesh-Podine, who have both endorsed me because of the work they've seen me do at the legislature. You need to be an advocate for us at the legislature. In addition to that, you need to find the places where you can bring human and social services kind of across the stuff that the county does. While I was working for the city of Minneapolis, I helped make sure that a program called Mental Health Co-Responders was instituted with the police department. That puts a mental health professional out with police officers to de-escalate situations. That's a great way to bring mental health into the rest of the services of the county.
Thank you. And now Scott Broom will respond first to the next question. What is your plan to create jobs?
I've never known a government official to create jobs other than their own. The most important thing that you can do is promote good job environments or good job creation environments through low regulation, through appropriate taxes, through being supportive of businesses that have come into your community, and through investing in the infrastructure that they need to be successful. Again, stuff like transit, affordable housing, and workforce development that allows everybody to reach their full potential as an employee and as a wealth creator, really. We need to talk about why Columbia Heights and Fridley are places where businesses should come relocate. From our access to the center cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, the transit opportunities we have from the North Star to our bus system, we have things we can sell, and we need to make sure that we do a better job of doing that, and that'll help bring jobs into this area.
Thank you. And now Mandy Meisner.
So sorry, excuse me, you guys. Yes, as I mentioned, promoting jobs in the trades is my #1 issue. Over the years at North Metro Mayors, I've heard from numerous businesses the crisis in the trades industries, manufacturing, plumbing, construction, and other specialty trades. There's not enough skilled workers, and we have these wonderful jobs here in Anoka County. And that's going to take a lot of collaborative efforts from a variety of perspectives, K through 12 education, technical colleges, employers. Commissioner Schulte here, I know, has done a lot of work promoting trades in Anoka County, and I hope to work alongside him with his work. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Sean Broom. Oh, you've had this question, all right. So Mandy Meisner will respond to the next question first. What do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure and capital projects in the county?
Well, that's not a hard question to ask at all. Well, as I mentioned earlier, so transportation, roads, and bridges are one of the third most funded things in the Anoka County budget. Anoka County is doing a pretty good job right now. They're on top of things like extending Hanson Boulevard, Highway 10. As far as I'm concerned, though, some of the things that aren't being looked at as much is performance measures and asset management. So really taking a look at, what is the cost of our infrastructure? What is the life cycle of our infrastructures in place? What does that look like cost-effective wise? And because we can't just asphalt our way out of congestion. So I'd really like to take a look at some of those aspects around transportation.
Thank you. And Scott Broom?
Sean.
Sean Broom.
You can't build your way out of congestion. That is something that anybody who's been on a highway in the Twin Cities can identify outright. 494 and 694 was the worst intersection in the Twin Cities. We added a bunch of lanes to it, and it's still the worst intersection in the Twin Cities. You can't build your way out of congestion. And so that is that we need to be very direct about we need to invest in means of transit. Anoka County has not been a good partner in advocating for transit, and in Columbia Heights and Fridley, that is unacceptable. Transit will be transformational in our communities and will help connect our residents, many of whom are the most transit dependent in the county, to better opportunities that are better educational opportunities and better job opportunities. We have to have an active voice as Anoka Anoka County saying we want to be a partner in transit investment. In addition to that, for all the rest of the work that they're doing throughout Anoka County, which is important and drives development, in Columbia Heights and Fridley, we need to talk to Anoka County about investing in sidewalks and bike trails because everybody uses our roads and they need to be safe and invested in for all users, not just cars.
Thank you. And one last question. Sean Broom. Are county taxes too high, just right, or pleasantly low?
The taxes are always too high. Taxes, by their kind of very nature, are going to hurt some folks. They're going to hurt people who are on fixed incomes. But there always have to be a reflection of the services that we have to provide and the priorities we have as a society. That's what we pay taxes for, is to pay for our society. Anoka County's taxes are in the low to just right range and need to be kept that way, while also being conscious of the fact that there are things you've got to spend money on. You do pay for what you get sometimes, and that can be reflected in the services and in the infrastructure that we have. Anoka County's done a good job of being a fiscal agent, of kind of keeping an eye on the taxpayers' dollars. And the current county commissioners should be very proud of their work to keep the cost of government down through the last economic downturn. But there is a place where we have to talk about adequately funding and resourcing the things that are important to us, and we've got to have that discussion when it happens.
Thank you. Mandy Meisner?
Excuse me. Yes, so the question was, are the taxes too high, too low, or
just
right, or
right.
just right, like the Goldilocks question?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and it does depend on who you're asking that, right? So the answer is going to be different for the people who live in our communities, and I think it's important to be respectful and compassionate about whatever that answer is. But really what the question is with taxes, it's always about balancing, the budget. The taxes are a source of revenue so we can provide services. And I feel very strongly we have to be responsible stewards of our taxpayer dollars. It is not my money. And so to always be very aware of that and with that lens always. And taxes are going to fluctuate as well, right? Because it is about balancing the budget and the tough job, and it will always, or it will not always be the fun job of this work is to decide when those fluctuations will be, and it will be for the best of the communities ultimately.
Thank you. Now, each candidate will have 1 minute for closing statements, and we will begin with Mandy Meisner.
Thank you. Thank you again for being here. Thanks for hosting this. So I am not a politician. I am a community service leader, and that's the kind of work I've been doing for the past 10 years, is working with civic, business, and nonprofit sectors, improving my own backyard. But because of that history and because I've been able to get results for my community, I do have a lot of really great endorsements and support. So I'm the only labor-endorsed candidate by the Teamsters, Women Winning, former Senator Barb Goodwin, Senator Chris Eaton, Senator Jerry Newton, Representative Connie Bernardi, Fridley Mayor Scott Lund, the entire Fridley City Council, as well as numerous local businesses. When people are making big decisions about your community, it is crucial that you are engaged in community, working alongside community, not making decisions for you from an ivory tower. I'm Mandy Meisner, running for Anoka County Commissioner.
Thank you. And now, Sean Broom, your closing statement.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. It is an awesome opportunity to come out and get a chance to connect with voters and to get this recorded. So thank you again. I am running for this because I am joy-filled at the chance to make a difference in my neighbors' lives. And it doesn't come from some ivory tower, but instead comes from the experience that I have gained working for decision makers around the region, that comes from knowing what it is like to live check to check, knowing what it is like to have to rely on county services to make a difference in your life, to be the difference between sleeping in a van and sleeping in a house that is yours. The chance to impact my neighbors' lives, the chance to help my neighbors who could be in the same position I was, is something that is incredible and that I am overjoyed at the chance to do. I'm doing this because I want to make a difference in the people who have helped lift me up as a community member. I want to do this to make a difference in the life of my daughter and all of her friends, and I want to do this because it is the best way to make our region and our community better.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates, for speaking to the voters about issues and for running for Anoka County Board of Commissioners. I'd like the audience to join in this appreciation with a round of applause. Thank you. Should be moving on to Commission District 5. Mike Gamache, who is running unopposed for Anoka County Commissioner District 5, which includes parts of Andover and Coon Rapids, was invited to speak tonight. However, he had a previous commitment which he was unable to reschedule. He did send a nice message expressing his regrets and good wishes. Thank you, Mike Gamache, for your service to the citizens of Commissioner District 5 and to Anoka County. So let's move on to the candidates running for Anoka County Board of Commissioners District 7, which includes parts of Anoka, Andover, and Coon Rapids. Tonight, our candidates for District 7 are Dave Nelson and Scott Schulte. Again, we will start with introductory questions which the candidates received in advance. Responses are limited to 1 minute. And Dave Nelson will have the first opportunity to speak to the first question. Describe your background and community involvement.
I was born actually in Hennepin County, but when we were looking for a house, we found that Anoka County was the most affordable place to live for our budget. So I moved to Anoka County in 1996 and have enjoyed living here. When I was first here, I moved into a townhouse association, and one of the first things I did is got active on the townhouse board. And it's a very small budget compared to the Anoka County Board, but it's a microcosm of making decisions for other people that don't always agree with what you need to do, but you need to provide the services at that level. And so that's my major involvement for representational government. And so I was asked to run, and the reason, one of the reasons is so that we were not just running unopposed. It wasn't something I looked for at the time, but I'm interested in the job and have my name out there for voters to vote.
Thank you. And now Scott Schulte.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for inviting us here today. I am Scott Schulte. I represent Anoka County District 7 on the county board. I have for 6 years. Prior to that, I served on the Coon Rapids City Council as the mayor pro tem and council member at large for 12 years. I run a 60-year-old family business that I own and operate on Hanson and Coon Rapids Boulevard. I've been there 49 years myself. I'm married. My lovely wife, Jan, is here with me. I have 5 children and 9 grandchildren. I served as president of the Coon Rapids Rotary Club in 2003, currently work on their executive board. I'm on the Coon Rapids Lions Club, currently president of the Coon Rapids Mortgage Assistance Foundation, Coon Rapids Crime Prevention Association, Anoka County Joint Law Enforcement Council. I'm a founding member and was on the board of the directors of First Advantage Bank. I'll be the next president of the Association of Minnesota Counties. I serve on their executive committee to the board of directors. I'm the vice chairman of the county board. I chair the transportation committee. I chair the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. I'm vice chair of the Regional Rail Authority, vice chair of Public Safety Committee, Information Technology Committee, board member for the Transportation Advisory Board, Law Library of Trustees, and the Tri-County Regional Forensics Laboratory Advisory Board.
Thank you. And now Dave Nelson.
Next question.
I went first.
Oh, you went, okay. So for the next question, yes, Scott Schulte will speak first to this question. What are your qualifications for serving as Anoka County Commissioner, and why are you seeking this office?
Well, I thoroughly enjoy the position and helping the people of Anoka County. I've taken countless hours of training in developing my leadership skills. I take great pride in my garage logic approach to solving complex problems. Working with all the partners at the county level is the only way that government works correctly. I take pride in that. I attained the Silver Certificate of Leadership from the National League of Cities when I served on their board of directors, and that is 417 city elected officials out of 95,000 have ever received that award. I was also selected as one of 23 county commissioners out of 15,350 to attend the Cambridge Leadership Institute at Harvard. In short, I'm good at this work, I enjoy it, and I would like to keep doing it for the citizens of Anoka County.
Thank you. Okay, Dave Nelson on question 2.
I'm new to politics and I'm new to representational government. Compared to what Scott has done, I'm not in that caliber. But as a citizen of the county, the biggest thing is to have choice. And if everybody's happy with the way things are, there wouldn't be the need for change. And so I'm running basically as a citizen of the county to offer an alternative and to give people a choice so that we don't just have one candidate on the ballot for this election.
Thank you. And now Dave Nelson will have the first opportunity to address the third question. What are your short and long-term goals for Anoka County?
Short-term goals is to maintain the transportation infrastructure that we have been doing a good job at. Our current board has been doing a good job of lobbying the legislature. I think it was a mistake not to go for the funding all the way up to St. Cloud when they had the chance for the North Star and to limit that to the system they have now. But that is going to be able to be rectified in the near future. That would be a long-term goal. The short-term, one of the things that we have going on in the southern part of Anoka County is we have major roads that are still stop signs. And we have 3 major trunks into our districts that people are backed up on every day coming and going from work. And so we need to find solutions for that. So transportation is the number one goal. The other thing is development. Our northern part of the Anoka County is ripe for development. We have very large tracts of land that in the next 20 years will become housing. And we need to provide the services for that.
Thank you. And Scott yes.
I'm good with the question. I have it here, so I'll just move ahead if that's okay. My short-term goals are to continue to deliver outstanding service to the public in an innovative and cost-efficient manner. I'll hold the lid on taxes and continue to find ways to leverage our local dollars against those dollars at the state and federal level. I will continue to drive to enhance the reputation of the county, both here in the metro and statewide. I would look to expand the economic development opportunities in the county by leveraging relationships with all of our cities and the township in Anoka County. My long-term goal is to leave the county in a much better place than I found it. When I was elected, the county was in debt $200 million and was borrowing twice each year, continuing that death spiral. We have turned that around and have reduced that debt to $68 million, and it continues to plummet. We have only borrowed money once on my watch since I've been here 6 years, and that is to improve the safety of the courthouse and reinvest in technology for the courts. We did all of this while increasing our reserves and building the asset preservation account. We have reinvested in buildings, parking lots, elevators, and rooftops to eliminate our deferred maintenance issues that previously haunted our budgets.
Thank you. And now Scott Schulte will address the first question from the audience. How do you expect to get the job done as commissioner starting on your first day?
Well, it will actually be my first day of my 7th year on the job.
Yes.
So I will be sprinting and running and doing everything I do now. I am prepared. As I said earlier, I run a business in town, and I'm there every morning at 4 o'clock. I work at that business from 4 to 8 every day. then or 9, and then I go home and put a suit on and get off to the county meetings, either here in Anoka or down in St. Paul or wherever my travels take me. I'm also the vice president this year, and I'll be president next year of the Association of Minnesota Counties. So I represent all 447 county commissioners from across the state in all 87 counties. With that job, I do visit those counties. I visit those county commissioners and answer their questions to help them amongst their state association to get their jobs done better for all citizens in the state of Minnesota.
Thank you. And Dave Nelson, how do you expect to get the job done as a commissioner starting on your first day?
Well, as a new commissioner, I will have a learning period. I'm not afraid of that. But with that, you need to be open to ideas. You need to be open to the people that are dependent on, and we also need, at that point, you'll be working with the other commissioners that are already in office. We have 4 commissioners that are not up for election, 4 districts that are not up for election. And so learning and being with them and investing the time to do the job that will be new to me.
Thank you. And now Dave Nelson will have the first response to the next question. And what would you do to address the problem with opioid addiction?
The county's done a pretty good job, and I think we need to continue that, working with the state, working with law enforcement, and also working with social services. One of the things that's been a big change in the last year is looking at the suppliers. The pharmaceutical companies were dumping opiates into the market, and that has come to an abrupt change. And so hopefully we're going to see that, kind of like we did with the methamphetamine and the meth labs, when there was laws that were enacted to change the way that atmosphere and the availability of the byproducts that went into it. So as we move forward, hopefully that is going to be a diminished problem, because we're stopping the companies that have basically been making money off of our citizens by dumping basically opiates into the market.
Thank you. And Scott Schulte?
Thank you, Sandy. My opponent answered that question perfectly. I can't add anything of substance to that. He's right. We are doing a great job. We're working really hard, and staying focused on everything he talked about is critical. We'll continue to do that.
Thank you. And you will get the first opportunity to address the next question, Scott Schulte. Do you support right-to-work laws in Anoka County? Why or why not?
In Anoka County, we have never made a move to support right to work. We've not even talked about it at a board level. We did pass, in my early days on the county board, we passed a prevailing wage law to give a lot more local contractors opportunities to bid on projects. And I wasn't there for that vote, but I would have supported that. I believe that our contractors should have that opportunity to bid on our smaller jobs that the big union contractors had kind of cornered the market on, and the local contractors didn't have the opportunity to bid on them. We are now getting much better bids, both from union contractors and non-union contractors, because of that policy.
Thank you. And Dave Nelson?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Do you support right-to-work laws in Anoka County? Why or why not?
I don't support outright law that mandates right to work. We are a strong union county. We have strong unions, strong workers, but also we have a balance. We don't have the locked-in situation where businesses can't contribute. And like Scott has said, they did make a change that wasn't huge, but it allowed small businesses from the area, not from out of state, not from other parts of the country, to bid on contracts. They allowed the businesses in the Anoka County to bid on those contracts. And so I think that's the right position. I don't think we want to go down the right to work path. I'm not in favor of that movement at all.
Thank you. And now, Dave Nelson, the next question is two parts. How do you handle conflict, and how do you anticipate getting along with other commissioners?
I try to avoid conflict, but the conflict sometimes happens. So when you have that situation occur, you need to be open-minded. You need to look at what the other person, put yourself in the other person's shoes, think about what the other person is, where they're coming from, and that usually helps you decide what you need to do. At the same time, you need to have your principles. You need to stand up for what you believe, but the big thing in the Anoka County board member is you have to get along. And getting along with the other board members, not being too single-minded is the way you're going to deal with every situation. And so you need to have your principles, but you also need to be open-minded and listen to what everybody else has to say. And then you can move forward from there. And in that mood and in that frame of mind, you really have, basically, you kind of dissolve most of the conflict before it happens, because you know the people you work with will be able to talk to you. And they'll be able to deal with you, and they'll be able to, you're not going to be stuck on one situation where people are going to disagree to the point where it's not beneficial to both parties.
Thank you. And Scott Schulte?
Thank you for the question. I've had the opportunity to attend the Mitchell Hamlin Conflict Resolution Series course, which was very eye-opening for me. I learned a lot. With that said, when I joined the Coon Rapids City Council 18 years ago, it was not a cohesive group. They didn't get along. There was a lot of infighting. I made it my goal to calm that group down and figure out a way to work together, and we did. By the time I was 2 years in, we could vote differently. We could disagree at the dais, but when we walked out that door, we asked, how was your family vacation? How are your kids doing? And before I came to the county board had that problem. There was quite a fissure in the county board, and I made it my goal at that time, I'm going to fix this. And I did it. I came to the county board. I brought the people that I disagreed with together. We talked. We worked through it. And we are now a very cohesive county board. We do not always vote unanimous. We have our 7-2 vote, or 5-2 votes, and our 4-3 votes. But for the most part, we get along great. We walk out the door and we're friends.
Thank you. And the next question will be addressed first to Scott Schulte. What do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure and capital projects in Anoka County?
Highway 10, followed by Highway 65. We've done a lot of work on Highway 10. We got our bridge built at Armstrong. We got an overpass there, so that freed up the road a little bit. We're now working on the Fair Oak-Thurston interchanges. We've got funding for those. Those will happen in 2022 and 2023, followed by Sunfish Lake Boulevard and Ramsey Boulevard. When that's done, Highway 10 will be a freeway, and that will help congestion beyond belief. It's about safety. It's not about congestion. It's about safety. Too many people have lost their lives on that road. Highway 65 is so close behind Highway 10. And now, mind you, both of these are not county roads. Highway 10 is a U.S. highway. It's a federal highway that the state of Minnesota is charged with maintaining and repairing. Highway 65 is a state highway. And again, the county is stepping in. We're spending county resources to make those roads safe because they do carry the majority of the traffic in and out of Anoka County, use 10 and 65. And I've made it my goal to get them fixed.
Thank you. Dave Nelson.
Repeat the question.
What do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure and capital projects in the county?
I agree with Scott. Those were the things he listed, the Highway 10, the 20-year plan for the Highway 10, and the funding that's already been allocated and obtained successfully will make that a freeway. Then after that, Highway 65, and we have to look at 47, and there's the three highways, that even 35W, that come up from the southern part of the Anoka into, and they've extended Hanson. Our county is growing, and as they have already done, we need to continue, and that's to get the funding that's due. And as the county has done, even though it's a state or a federal roadway, there's a county part of every job or every process for building and for infrastructure, and we need to continue that. And the board currently has done a good job, and that's one thing I know Scott has been part of and has done a good job on.
Thank you. And now Dave Nelson will have the first opportunity to respond to this question. Are county taxes too high, about right, or pleasantly low?
Compared to the 7-county metro area, we're pleasantly low. As compared to what we consider in Anoka County, I believe we're just about right. I don't think there's a move to either raise or lower the taxes by the current board. The biggest thing, like Scott had said, is to maintain what we have and to pay off the previous debt. So one of the things that this county has done that is unique in the Seven Mountain area is we don't have the wheelie tax. We don't have some of the other taxes that the other counties have had to impose. We don't have some of the taxes that Hennepin County has in the downtown districts. So we have done a pretty good job, I think. And I think so overall, we're just right, I think, for the way we have balanced. And one thing I learned from my brother, who's a state legislator, is it's really not taxes, it's fees for services. And the county board has looked at that as the way to deal. The services they provide cost money, and you have to tax for that. That's the only reason you need to tax, is the services you provide.
Thank you. And Scott Schulte?
Well, I would tell you, as a businessman in town and owning a home in town, I would tell you taxes are too high. As a county commissioner, I'll tell you, we can't get them any lower. We are working diligently at every meeting. It's budget time right now. And we just gave our employees, all our unions, a raise. We gave all our non-union employees a raise. And their merit raises, they're nothing over 3%. I'd like to give them more, but then you got to raise taxes a lot more. Health insurance, 9.9% this year. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. These are operational costs that happen year after year after year, and they increase year after year after year. If you don't keep up with property taxes at a 3% rate, it hits you somewhere. You have to find it. Right now, this year, our taxes will likely be 3.9%, maybe 4.5%. That's an increase. Some people don't like it, but it's a cost of doing business. It's a cost of having a healthy, strong workforce, and I will support that tax increase.
Thank you. And now, Scott Schulte, the next question. Share examples of when you established a goal that was personally challenging.
I have run a couple of campaigns in my life, city council, state senate 1 year back in 2006, and county board for a couple of election cycles, but nothing like a statewide race. I ran for the president of the Association of Minnesota Counties, and I ran against another very successful county commissioner, and we ran in all 87 counties. I traveled to each and every county twice. So 87 counties twice. I met with every single county commissioner, lobbied them for their vote, and I won that election in a landslide. And I'm proud that I did. That was a year and a half ago. And I will be seeing the fruits of that labor. If I'm reelected to the county board, I will serve as president of that association in 2019. It was a lofty goal, but I was able to attain it while running my business and while maintaining my positions, my many numerous positions as a county commissioner.
Thank you. Dave Nelson, would you like the question repeated?
Please.
Share an example of when you established a goal that was personally challenging.
When I first came out of college, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was kind of told you had to know what you need to do the rest of your life when you're 18 years old. So of course, when I went to college the first time, I was miserable and I dropped out. I set a goal then to get back on track. And when 2 years later, I went back to Minneapolis Community College, started taking classes that I enjoyed, developed a career out of that, and then took me 14 years to finish that 2-year degree. But I've never needed anything more in my current position as a system engineer working in IT. I set that goal, got married through that, worked through that, and the whole time I basically knew that I needed to finish up that goal that I had. And that taught me that you need to persevere, even though it might take you forever, it might take you a long time. As long as you maintain what you plan on doing, you can achieve anything you want.
Thank you. And now, Dave Nelson, the next question. What one part of county government would receive more attention if you are elected?
Because of my background, I believe the IT side of it would be a good place that I would focus on as attention. And also, once again, as we've talked about transportation, the roads are important, but also the public transportation. So between technical services, the IT side of it, and the transportation, that's where I would like to focus initially.
Thank you. Scott Schulte?
Public safety. Our sheriff's office does a lot. They get a pretty good portion of our budget, but it's so very important. If people aren't safe, if they're not comfortable in their own neighborhoods, they're not happy. Their quality of life is not good. Public safety is incredibly important. And Sheriff Stewart has done a fabulous job. He's got a strong team, but we have underfunded that department too long. It's time to give the sheriff a few more resources to make sure that he can get done what he needs to do to make us all safe and comfortable where we live.
Thank you. And now Scott Schulte will respond first to the next question. As a county commissioner, how would you address social service issues?
Well, I think the county, it's been stated earlier by Mandy Meisner that a lot of what we do is dictated by the state, and the money is passed down from the state and the federal government for us to do what we need to do on a social service level. Mental health is always one of the biggest issues. The largest issue statewide now, including in Anoka County, is in-home placement. When a child is taken from a family, it's where you put them and how safe they are when they're there. It's big in just about every county. Hennepin County's got some major news going on about that. Anoka County has done really well from that perspective, but it's still a very large part of our social service and human services budget. I do not serve on the Human Services Committee, so I'm not as well versed on that as I am on transportation and infrastructure technology and parks and all the rest of the committees I serve on. So I will just tell you that I firmly believe mental health and chemical dependency are probably two of our largest social service needs in Anoka County, and it's probably where we should focus more of our dollars.
Thank you. And Dave Nelson?
Social services is a key thing that the Anoka County provides. One of the things that the question is kind of vague, and it's kind of like just hitting around the edges of sometimes people bring personal agendas into social services, they're for or against certain things, and I would keep that completely off the table. I look at social services as literally what it is. It's providing the services that our citizens need to be successful, from mental health to addiction to even law enforcement. The social services that we provide are key to people being safe and people being happy in Anoka County. One of the things we do have a benefit is we do have a pretty strong social services network in Anoka County, whether hospitals and our businesses providing the benefits that provide those services. So we're doing pretty good, and we just need to keep doing what we are doing now.
Thank you. And Dave Nelson, what is your plan to create jobs?
I like what Sean said about no politician creates a job. There's an atmosphere, though, and you can overtax, you can provide too much of a burden on businesses, and our small businesses are the starting area where we create jobs. As the county, I think the biggest thing you do is get out of their way. You provide the services you need, you provide the infrastructure, you provide the climate, but then you get out of their way and let them do their job, which is to create jobs. And I don't think a county board member necessarily can create a job other than their own. And maybe the funds that go into for the sheriff's department. But to provide jobs as an individual, I don't think that's something I could personally do. But to provide the climate where jobs is important, I think that's something that any county commissioner can do.
Thank you. And Scott Schulte?
Thank you. Well, I don't know if this counts, but I've been in business 60 years, and I've created 297 different jobs. That's how many people have worked for my father and me through the years. So that probably doesn't count, though, because this is a county commissioner question. I do serve on the executive board of the newly created Anoka County Regional Economic Development Initiative. We have all 21 municipalities within Anoka County belong to this now. We have hired a full-time person at Anoka County to work on that regional economic development. We will create the atmosphere for large corporations and businesses to move to our area. Manufacturing particularly is where we're focused. We believe we have a great manufacturing base. We have one of the greatest workforces right in this area. Although our workforce is challenging as our baby boomers age out, we do have a good workforce, particularly for manufacturing, and we are changing how we do that. We will have a brand new website. We'll have, again, a full-time employee that is not operated by the county. That will be operated by the 21 municipalities within the county.
Thank you. Each candidate will now make a 1-minute closing statement, beginning with Scott Schulte.
Thank you to the league again for inviting everyone here, the candidates and the people who may be interested in what we have to say. I absolutely appreciate your work. I appreciate the opportunity to serve you on the county board. The league has worked with our board in the last few years to develop a transparency initiative, to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do, to make sure that our meetings are open to the public and very, very much advertised. I appreciate that. I appreciate them reaching out and holding our feet to the fire to make sure that we do that. I think I have served the county well for 6 years. Not quite done. I got a few initiatives right in the middle that I want to get through. So I need another term. I need 4 more years to finish this up, to get the work done for the people. And then, I'll gladly go back and fix cars. I love fixing cars. It's that problem-solving guy in me. It's what I want to do. But I'm not quite ready to go back there yet. I want to fix some cars, but I really want to help fix government. 1 more term. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dave Nelson?
Choice is the reason that I'm running for office. Choice is the reason that I think all voters need to look at making a change if they want to. Scott has done a good job as a city council member and as a commissioner. My goal is to offer that choice. There's no bigger thing you can do than to be able to go to the ballot and pick between different people. And that's my number 1 reason for running. That's my number 1 goal. I will learn on the job. I'm a fast learner, and that's my goal. That's my plan. And I hope people are looking for choice this election season, and if they are looking for a change, please vote for me. My name is Dave Nelson. I'm running for Anoka County Commissioner.
Thank you. And I would like to invite the audience to share their thanks by a round of applause. And the League of Women Voters thanks the candidates for speaking about the issues and for running for Anoka County Board of Commissioners. Thank you, audience members, for listening and participating with great questions. Our democracy depends on citizen involvement. If you are interested in the League of Women Voters, Google lwvabcmn.org. Men, women, and young adults are welcome to join. And remember, the general election is November 6th. You can vote in person at your city offices September 21st through November 5th, or in person on November 6th at your precinct polling place. You can find information on voting options or check the precinct finder for your polling place on the Minnesota Secretary of State's website. Your voice is your vote.